Denodo is a leader in data virtualization, which enables organizations to make better use of their data and resources. Today we are joined by Ravi Shankar, who is the Senior Vice President and CMO of Denodo. And I'd like to thank you for joining me in the studio today.
Glad to be here, Mike.
Now, this is an interesting one for me because with the current economic climate the way it is, we've got times of uncertainty, high inflation, low unemployment, and of course slowing investment. Does the role of data change or perhaps evolve during those times based on what you've witnessed?
Definitely, and the role of data is even more important in economic climates like this, simply because you want to understand the history of what it has been and how you can actually use it to move forward in the current economic climate. And the speed becomes an even more important aspect of it because things are changing so rapidly. You want to be able to use the data to make quick decisions and quick changes based on what's happening in the climate.
Absolutely need to remain nimble, I guess. But Ravi, how has the use of data evolved, I guess, over the last few years? We've obviously had the pandemic, the digitization of a lot of businesses.
Right.
And where does it come from now? And what are we doing differently, I suppose, with it? What does the landscape look like for data?
Sure. So the origination of the data has been more to put it into a structured repository. That's how it has been like in the last 20, 30 years. But towards the millennium, the advent of unstructured data coming from all the different sources became a more important one, and they couldn't actually fit that into existing structured repositories. Now more like streaming data, which is like the Internet of things like IoT data, all these data all also coming into the picture right now. So the data landscape has actually changed, evolved to include from the structured to unstructured to the streaming data right now. And so that's why it makes the data landscape completely changed, and you need new tools and technologies to be able to handle all these together
Absolutely.
right now.
So you've got to be keeping up, I suppose. But with so much data being ingested into a company, you've got all sorts of mediums being produced. How do we ensure that it's a unified experience, a unified data experience?
Right. So the data has three different types of attributes or challenges, you can say. One is the velocity, the speed at which the data is actually coming. The second one is the variety of the data, as I said, like the structured, unstructured, semi-structured, streaming data, and so on. And then you have the types of data, the volume of data, right? So the volume has become enormous coming from all these different sources. So it's impossible to actually aggregate all the data into a single repository. That's what many of the companies were trying to put that into a database, then a data warehouse, and then a data lake, and so on. The best approach to gain a unified view, which is what the business wants, to be able to see the data in one single place, is to leave the data wherever it is and connect to the data. So that way you can get the data as it is being authored in real time to be able to view it, but you use what we call as a logical approach to actually gain a view of the data rather than having to move all the data into a central place.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power when it comes to understanding where it all is and where it's going. So how important, I guess, you did mention it a few times there, but the speed in which data can be made available, of course, to clients, various departments within the business. Is speed the name of the game?
It is. So if you look at many years ago, loading data into a data warehouse, for example, it would be like on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. No longer businesses can afford to wait that long these days. Everything has to be real time because as we talked about, the economic climate is changing much more faster. The competition is actually killing you. So you need to be more nimble to be able to use the speed of data to be able to innovate and make the changes necessary to survive in this climate.
Absolutely, well said. So looking at data virtualization specifically, what I guess is it for those who may not be aware, and what makes it the most effective for an organization looking to optimize their data to be the premium that it should be?
All the principles that we talked about. One, it uses the logical approach, which means it leaves the data wherever it is and it connects to the data rather than collecting it. And the second one, it deals with the location of the data. It can be anywhere, on the cloud, on premises, anywhere, so it doesn't matter. It completely abstracts that information. And also the format of the data, whether structured, unstructured, semi-structured, streaming data, it doesn't matter. It can convert all the data to a format that can be consumed by the different people, and also the velocity of the data. So the data could be streaming in, it could be at rest, what we kind of say, it doesn't matter. So it is capable of handling all these different types of data at the volume that is required and the speed that is required, and deliver it all in real time. So that's the beauty of data virtualization.
Ravi, you've inspired me to go to my home computer and organize all my files a little bit more and all my data. But I want to thank you so much for joining us on the program to unpack a little bit more about the importance of the management and perhaps the future that we're looking to see.
Thank you, Mike. I enjoyed being here.